Holy smokes, it's hot in Texas. I'm like on the brink sweat all the time. I had to turn the fan off to plug this in. So I thought I would hop on here to do live because what I'm observing is women are so sick. Like, literally. I don't mean like we're pissed off or fed up. No. It's funny how it's like, why didn't I realize this sooner? It's one of those things that's like, sorry, I got a selfie stick. I don't know why I didn't realize this sooner, but women are really sick. Like, I'm a hairdresser, and so I talk to women all day long, and literally I'm not even exaggerating. I'm really not. Almost every client of mine has an autoimmune deficiency, Crohn's disease, IBS, like thyroid problems. It's so interesting. And like, vibe attracts your tribe. So they're very similar to me in nature. And women as this generation, 25 to 60, we're so sick. We can function, but we're so sick. And then on the male spectrum, I don't know how sick they are. I think a lot of males have, like, I don't really interact with a lot of males, but a lot of blood pressure problems, diabetes is huge in men. Not big in women, but it's like funny how like our health ailments are similar. And a lot of alcohol abuse in men. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. Oh my God, Sean, good to see you. Same. You're noticing this? It's so interesting. Simultaneously, if you don't mind me saying, it seems like the male population are kind of losing their minds a little bit right now. Women don't want to date. High value women don't want to date because you can't. Like, and you know, this is probably all the way God designed it to be. Like, you can't do anything with them in the state that they're in. So it's interesting how, like, I feel like we were kind of blinded for a long time about the condition of the world in terms of male female relationships. We were blinded, right? Like, women were doing way too much and we didn't know it. But my mom was the first generation. She watched her mom, my grandma, be a stay-at-home mom, basically. She was a nurse, but she didn't have to work and she stayed home with the kids for the most part. And when I was like 25, I went to this therapist because I was like, dude, I keep dating like the same dude. I moved states over. I moved like 1,000 miles away from where I'm from, and I still am dating the same exact dude. And after 3 sessions with this therapist, Bruce, love him to death, he wore shorts and he sat cross-legged and he always had an unlit cigar in his mouth. And he listened more than he talked. And he was old school because he was a much older man. And, you know, he was asking the right questions, and he finally was like, you keep dating your mother's personality. And I'm like, what? Like, I never really realized, like, I didn't think about it. He's like, you keep dating your mother's personality. So my mom, she was a good mom. She kept us alive, right? She like made sure we had everything we needed, but she was very checked out. Like she wasn't involved in our personal life at all. My dad was. My dad was involved in our personal lives, but my mother was not. And she was hardly around because she was busy, both parents worked, and so I guess it developed a bit of a complex in me. And then when I went to see Bruce, he was like, you date your mother's personality. He's like, so you got to ask your mom why she was never around. So so I called her up and I was like, I'm going to therapy. I'm 25. I'm like, I'm going to therapy, mom, and I need to talk to you because why were you not around? Like you weren't really interested in our lives. Like I barely knew you. And she confessed that she felt very like overwhelmed because she was of the first generation of women who were it wasn't she wasn't pressured by my father because my father was like just stay home, right? I'll make the money for us. But you know, she had a certain lifestyle that she really wanted to make for her life, so she was not confident letting my dad stay home, so she went to work. And you know, she's worked her way up and she's done really well for herself. But she said that she always felt like it was too much, but like she didn't really have like the conscious awareness of what the problem was. She just sort of like checked out because she was tired, she was busy, like she was doing everything. You know, it's no reflection on my father because he was like, you know, you could stay home, but we wouldn't have had the money that we had, right? So my mom went to work and it developed a complex in the kids, right? Because then I'm 25 and I'm like, I keep dating the same dude. Like, I don't know, I can't escape it. It's like, why the hell? And then my therapist Bruce was like, you keep dating your mother's personality. And I'm like, what? It's really not that complicated at all. He's like, people always date the deficiency that they found in their parents. And it was a generational thing. I was born in 1989. It was a generational thing. And my mom explained it that there was a societal pressure to work. There was a societal pressure for the wife, the mom, to contribute to the family. So it wasn't my dad pressuring her, it wasn't her own pressure. She said there was a societal pressure for the woman, for the mom, to also work and contribute to the family. So she did that. And not to her knowledge, it was exhausting her. It was draining the life out of her. She didn't know any different because she was the first generation that was basically ministered to for the mom, the wife, to support the income. And so that, you know, never went away. And she's like, that's why I was so checked out. I was so exhausted, overwhelmed, pulled in every direction. But she wasn't even aware of it, you know? Like, she wasn't even aware of it. So all our relationships kind of reflect the way that we were raised. And it's weird to have found significant others like in the position that they are now 10 years later. Like, you denied your first love and you just went for the money, you went for the job, you went for the status, you went for the wealth, you went for the uppity friends, you went for the world, you know? Like, it's a very, like, men have had such a worldly mindset. And because they've been in such a worldly mindset for so long, they've become virtually unattractive. Unattractive. Like, it's not that I don't love you, but I literally can't do anything with you because basically you've become too worldly. And they're sexually depraved and they're too worldly and it like doesn't work anymore. And so I feel like for women, like we've done everything that we can do. Like we didn't really do anything. I mean, I didn't turn into a monster because I was mad about the way that the world works. I'm supposed to work. I'm supposed to make an income for the family. Like, it didn't turn me into a monster. But there's something about the dynamic where, like, men have turned into virtual monsters, if you don't mind me saying. Like, they're very possessed. And a lot of, like, all these dudes that have been calling me crazy for 10 years are now losing their minds. All these dudes that like claimed to love me but called me crazy and then went on to date some other worldly woman or just sat and watched porn for 10 years, like now they're losing their minds because they didn't choose God's spouse for their life. They didn't lead a godly life. And God protects women, so it's just been us out here with God, and it's like gotten to the point where like women are so sick, like literally. I don't mean like we're mad. I don't even think like we're not really all that mad, you know. Like it's funny when like I'm beyond the point of being angry. Like I'm just done with the blanket generation of men, and it's the world that created them, and it seems like it's been going on as long as time, maybe 2000 years. I mean, honestly, like maybe back to like when Isis was trying to collect all the missing pieces of Osiris. That was a really long time ago. Like we haven't really seen harmony between men and women. Like it's always really off balance. Even in the Romanov family, people explain Alexandra Feodorovna, the Tsarina of Russia, the spouse to the Tsar, they explain her as being kind of a tyrant to her husband because Tsar Nicholas was really passive. He was too passive. There were some transcripts or letters that the Tsarina was like, can you please just start being like Ivan the Terrible? Ivan the Terrible was just that terrible. Like, he was so murderous. He put people's heads on stakes. He threatened people. And in the early 1900s, Alexandra was calling for her peaceful, passive husband, king, to do the same thing. And so she was perceived to be like a tyrant to her husband, even though they loved each other. But it seems like ending time is kind of like ending the imbalance between men and women. And I can look into history and I can speak to my recent life, and then I can observe what's happening right now. Women are so sick with autoimmune, Crohn's, IBS, thyroid, most that type stuff, endometriosis. They're very sick with these things. And they don't want to date men. Like they're undateable. Like men have become undateable. So it's interesting because now it seems like men have got to change. And that's probably why they are acting out, and the way that they're acting out is because there's something pushing their spirit now that is convicting them that they are the ones to change. They have to change. You have to do something different. You have to collapse your ego. You have to recognize that most of your friends are not your friends, not good people. And it's definitely happening. Like the spirit is convicting. And this is Revelation 17:8, I believe. I've believed for this for so many years. Revelation 17:8 is the beast that was and is no longer. He comes up just to go to his destruction. And all the world is going to be like, oh my God, what happened? It says all the people whose names were not written in the book of life. Maybe they don't have it. I don't know. They're going to be like, oh my God, what happened? Like, life was so great. Why did all these beastly men just come to their destruction? because they didn't know, right? Because they weren't experiencing this dynamic. And if you don't mind me saying, like, it seems like people with a soul really have this dynamic. Like, there's a soul in the body, there's a mind in the body, but I do believe that a lot of people are more connected to an oversoul of some sort, but a remnant of us seem to have a soul that is just ours. Like, I have a soul that belongs to me, that like is me and my identity. And I feel like a lot of these targeted men, they are men who have souls that belong to them, that is them, that is their identity. It's not really an oversoul. The oversoul would be God. But in the world, I think a lot of people are bodied, and they have a mind, and they're probably maybe going to get a soul in this ascension. But there's a lot of men who actually have like a soul that belongs to them specifically, like a specific signature that just belongs to them. And then we've polarized to each other, and then the world polarized us away from each other. The worldly ways parted us. And it's like, yeah, women have made mistakes, but women don't really have dualism. Like, we're not evil. A lot of women are, because we don't have dualism. They're evil. They're either like supercharged for negativity, or they're supercharged, like they're either like supercharged for the world, or they're supercharged for heaven on earth. Women do not possess dualism the same way that men possess dualism. So this is where the problem lies, is the tides change from this world being run by Satan to this world being run by God, heaven on earth. Naturally, the men are going to go through a pressure cooker, and they're going through a pressure cooker. And it seems like it's up to the individual man to like really drop his pride and drop his ego and realize that he is actually the one with the problem. It's not us. It was him. Because men have dualism, right? The tides change from Satan to God, right? From Lucifer to Michael, or Lucifer to Lucifer, or Jesus to Lucifer, or Lucifer to I don't know. But God split into two, creating twin brothers. That's why everything is as weird as it is for men. Oh my god, there's like a bee carrying food. Oh, he flew away. I was gonna show you. Ah! Look it, there he goes. There's like a bee like just landed on the shelf, and it was like carrying like a bunch of food. That's so funny. Let me check your comments. Yeah, trying to lose useless parts of my mind right now and hope for healing. That's so good. David Mackenzie. Why does that sound so familiar? David Mackenzie. I don't know. Joe, welcome. Our Green Lobster, our parents' generation were forced into New Age feminism and worked even though our fathers didn't want them to, and it messed everyone up. You know, it might have been like a temporary healing for women, but ultimately through the generations, it's actually become bad, detrimental to women. You know, I've spent time off of work and I aimlessly cook and clean, and it's weird how I have such a high vibration. I love my job. Like, I love serving the community. I love like connecting with like, my sisters. Honestly, like staying home, cooking and cleaning, I have the highest vibration. But I can't sustain it. And that's why I drink so much, is because I can't sustain my high vibration in this world. So I drink because I need to bring it down. When I thought I was in a healthy relationship, when my boyfriend was here, I didn't drink at all. I didn't think about it. I didn't even smoke a cigarette. Like, I didn't think about it. Because men ground our high vibrational energy when we are in the right roles. And I feel like God put me in this house and put me in this position because I've never been in this position. I've always only went to school, 2-3 jobs. I went to school, I went to college for like 9 years, part-time, 9 years, part-time. and I was always super busy. And then the tides change, and then, God will comes and you do different things. And when I moved into this house, I was never in this position to take care of a house and cook for myself. I always I don't know what I did. Honestly, what did I even do? I don't remember. How did I eat? How did I survive? I don't know. Now I cook and clean, meal prep, and it's wow, it's funny how God sort of made me into the perfect housewife just through circumstance. But the perfect housewife is not a liar, right? She's not an asshole, So it's funny how the world has a projection of a lot of these women who are like, I'm the perfect housewife, content creator. And it's dude, but go through your husband's phone and tell me that he's not cheating on you. Go through your husband's phone right now. You won't. If you won't because you're afraid of what you're going to find, you're not the perfect housewife. That dude is still draining you. He's still draining the life out of you. If he's cheating, watching porn on OnlyFans, has social media, he's still draining the fucking life out of you. It's still unbalanced, right? But I feel like God put us in a position to come into harmony for the first time since Isis and Osiris. Because even though divine rule has been intact, Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, and Mark Antony, you know how funny it is? Cleopatra's spouses were Mark Antony and Julius Caesar. Isn't that a little bit interesting? And Julius Caesar was murdered. Okay? Murdered. Right? Not it. And Alexandra Fedorovna, Nicholas Romanov loved each other, but still was not in balance because he didn't have enough of a warlike spirit and she became sort of tyrannical. Because she's like, I need you to be more like Ivan the Terrible. I need you to be more of a destroyer. Not only did she need it, she was telling him the truth. The world needed it. Maybe if we could redo timelines, what if we redo a timeline where Tsar Nicholas was not so passive? He was very passive. He was probably more like that of the peacemaker. He was very passive. And that is very noble and very honorable. But as his wife in the world, where you have both heaven and earth existing, she's like, can you please be more destructive? We need it. And I feel like that's sort of the dynamic that's playing out right now between men and women, especially with all these dudes. Like I said, they're coming back around and they're still losing their minds. And they've called me crazy for 10 years and they're coming back around and they're still trying to be ultra passive. And I'm like, that's not going to work. It's only going to work. But it's interesting how it's translating to nowadays because it's not go out and kill every dude and put their head on a stake. You can't do that legally. So it's what women are asking men to do, which is totally legal and totally permissible. We're you need to cut every other toxic woman out of your life, even if it's your mother or your sister, even if it's for a short period of time. You don't have female friends. That's fucked up. Don't even do social media unless it's for networking purposes. It's so weird. It's just look at your friends and find out who your real friends are. All of this is totally legal. Right? Back in, 1900s, Alexandra was like, can you just start killing your enemies? And it was legal back then. It's funny how God set everything up. It's funny how God has set everything up for the perfect timeline for heaven and earth. Murder was Tsar Nicholas could have done that. That would create a lot of karma, wouldn't it? It would have created a lot of karma. And he was right in not doing it. He was completely right. She was in the wrong. He was right. Because that creates too much karma. Okay? But still, the whole family was killed naturally. Because you're not coming up against the predators. Modern day, your predators are with your relationships and your family. If you haven't already dealt with them, I dealt with all the relationships in my family. Didn't talk to them for a year. Everything's good now. Everything is smooth sailing. Everyone is just nice and is fun to be around, and we get along, and there's nothing to fight about. But a lot of people haven't done that with their own families. A lot of men have not done this with their own families, with their own friends, boundaries with their own business network. They've been mind controlled from having boundaries. Just take the money, just look at the boobs, even if they're not your wives. It's some kind of applaudable behavior. We're getting very close. All this being said, we're getting very, very close to the singularity, to heaven on earth, and to the end. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Sean's on a hike. Riley Rage, trying to manifest getting paid while driving my adventure cat around all the state parks. You know, you could be a content creator for that. I would watch it big time. Alrighty, well, that's it for now. You're the right kind of people. Love y'all so much. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you again really soon.